Speaking of issues, coronavirus. That's again, practice that a few times before you use that in your day-to-day life. But yes, it's an issue. It's not. Things are a little bit rough, in the country. Anthony Fauci, the America's next top epidemiologist, he's the winner of that contest that's been going on for a while. Today's reality show of who's going to be the top epidemiologist in the country. I think Tony Fauci's right up there. He's got a real good chance to win it. He made his appearance in front of the Senate, one of the Senate Select Committees yesterday, and said that it wasn't great, and we could be staring at 100,000 cases per day in the country if you're not careful. And so we've seen widespread attempts to slow down reopening. We've seen mask usage, I think, go up seemingly. Anecdotally, at least, it seems like it's going up a little bit. That's good. Mask requirements are going up. Those are pretty widely supported. Even both. It shouldn't be a political thing, but it has turned into one. But on both sides of the aisle, it seems as though masks, for the most part, are supported by a majority of both parties. Obviously, there's a large minority of right-wing folks who are stringently and stridently anti-mask, but for the most part, it's pretty widely supported, and the information's there. If you want schools, if you want any kind of something going back to normality, we're going to have to slow this thing down, and so that's the situation. And Adam Silver says, we're not full steam ahead on this restart, no matter what. So we are not. He said one thing we are learning about this virus is much is unpredictable. And we and our players together with their union look at the data on a daily basis. If there was something to change that was outside of the scope of what we are playing for, certainly we would revisit our plans. We are testing daily. We haven't put a precise number on it, but if we were to see a large number of cases and see spread in our community, that would, of course, be a cause to stop as well. He did not specify what constitutes a significant spread that would shut down the league. He said, we're going to see as we go. Certainly if cases are isolated, that's one thing. A lot of the determination will be our understanding of how our community became infected. That will be part of our judgment in terms of whether we should continue. But certainly if we had a lot of cases, we are going to stop. You cannot run from this virus. So as we've talked about before, CJ, much like most other things, except for roller derby, weirdly enough, every other sport is unwilling to put a number on the specific level that it would take for them to shut down because, well, they don't want to actually be held accountable when that number is hit and they don't shut down. Because, as we know, this is about money, and they're going to find a way, one way or the other, unless they are absolutely forced not to. They're going to find a way to put this thing on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was kind of refreshing for me to hear Adam Silver say that there is a scenario that he can envision where they would have to stop the restart of the NBA season. But still, man, this seems really risky, and it seems like you're sending players and staff. So because it's not just the players, you're sending members of the front office and the coaching staff down there to a hotbed to try and get this season restarted, and it just seems like it's too great a risk. You've already got situations popping off where while the Nets are even going down there, that no Kyrie, no Kevin Durant, and 3 more players have tested positive and won't be down, making the trip down to Orlando to participate. Like, what is the point in the Nets being down there at all? You've got a situation where yesterday, 3 more players, 3 Pelicans, a team that is fighting for that 8th spot, 3 of their players have tested positive, so they're not going to be down there. And correct me if I'm wrong, the whole point of only having 20 teams down there was to try and expedite this whole process, get to the playoffs as soon as possible.
It's 22 teams. They're trying to. Yeah, I mean, they're walking the fine line. They're not necessarily trying to get to the. They're trying to get enough games to play to have inventory for their regional sports networks and for the national TV outlets to be able to have inventory to finish the season and not jeopardize the money that they have been promised in the contracts, while also minimizing the amount of teams and folks that are down there in order to limit potential spread of the virus. They're trying to walk that line. So they're not trying to do as few as possible, because as few as possible would be straight to the playoffs with 16 teams or even, 8 teams or something like that. They're not doing that. They're trying to keep their money. They're trying to get and hang on to that bag while also simultaneously minimizing to some degree the exposure to other teams, but also giving as many teams as possible a chance to play because they think it's fair for those other teams to play. And the other 8 teams, by the way, are trying to organize a little mini tournament of their own up in Minnesota at the Timberwolves facility to try to put some kind of a thing on, while everyone else is like a secondary delete 8 bubble.
It's all about the money. That is it. If it was simply about competition, these teams, all but it would be 8, maybe 8 teams would be down there. Maybe if it was about anything other than the money. And that gives me some pause and some concern about this restart. It's one thing for Adam Silver to say, hey, we're not full speed ahead. There is a situation that I can envision where we would have to shut this thing down again. But he's not giving any, like you said, not giving any like concrete numbers as to what that would look like. And you're having a situation pop off now where players are testing positive. The caseload in Florida is still going up, and you're still going down there. How safe is the bubble going to be when you've got Disney employees who can leave premises, go home, and then come back? How safe is it going to be when you say your players, you've given them things to do for entertainment purposes, but what if I don't want to be entertained that way? What if the entertainment I want is outside of the bubble? How sure are we that players aren't sneaking around, aren't going to sneak people in, aren't going to sneak out? Like, it is hard. I know AAU, for us, we were traveling 2 weekends out the month, and I remember vividly at 15, 16 years old, up in Louisville, there was a strip club across the street, and some of my larger teammates found their way in. Like, that's 15 with no money, just looking grown. They were able to pull that off. What's going to happen with these millionaires who are legit grown, who do want to go off and do their own thing and experience a different type of fun? Like, how can you guard against that? I think there are too many possible holes, too many possible situations and scenarios that could pop up that cause a spread of the coronavirus that would cause the NBA to, you would think, shut down. If it's 5 or 6 players on a team and you're in the second round of the playoffs, what is that going to look like? That's not going to be good. That's not going to be competitive.
We'll see. Those are all fair questions. There's another issue that Adam Silver kind of raised that I'm curious about, and then that may have something to do with what you're discussing as well. How tight is the quote unquote bubble? We will see. Maybe not as tight as you think. We'll talk about that when we return. Also, the Tigers are making a move to honor Black Lives Matter. I'm curious your thoughts on this. We'll discuss that as well on the other side as we continue here. On the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious though. This is something that I was thinking about, and I hope you don't mind the discussion, but I'm genuinely curious about. It made me think back to our discussions on Juneteenth a couple weeks ago, and the fact that Juneteenth hasn't really been taught, hasn't really been observed in a full national way like it was this year before. It certainly was observed, within Black communities, and certainly was observed by Black folks, but the widespread observance of it, I don't think was as obvious or as big as it has been until this year, because it sort of burst into the national consciousness, and people realize, like, why are we learning about this? Why aren't we why aren't we discussing this in schools, etc.? But you also saw, sometimes it getting co-opted by the commercial influences and, all this stuff like, oh, it's, you may start to have Juneteenth sales here, and you may start to have, Juneteenth specials and so on and so forth. I see the Black Lives Matter sticker on the back of the University of Memphis helmets that they're having, and it's Black Lives Matter, but the M in Black Lives Matter is a tiger logo. The M. I found that. I don't know if you're co-opting I feel as a white person, I'm not sure that this is my discussion to have. I'll be honest, but it was something that crossed my mind when I see that kind of thing. When I see it on other events, when I see corporations start to use it, Black Lives Matter, on their stationery, do you worry that the movement, the discussion of what it really means, is co-opted by sort of a commercializing of it, and it becoming just like hey, it's Memorial Day sales time here at whatever, and you're not necessarily thinking about what that really meant in the first place? Does that become a concern a little bit when you see it in those kinds of forms?
It's going to happen. That's what happens over here. From a Juneteenth standpoint, there are going to be Juneteenth sales. There are. That is how capitalism works. It feasts off of whatever you're willing to pay money for. And in June, around the time of Juneteenth, people will be willing to spend money on Juneteenth paraphernalia to celebrate Juneteenth. It happens with Thanksgiving, happens with Halloween. I'm surprised Christmas stuff isn't out yet, because it definitely happens there. It happens with MLK Day. That is the unfortunate nature of how we do things over here. Now, with the Black Lives Matter sticker and patches, not only on the University of Memphis' helmet, but across sports, I equate it to like cancer. We have patches for cancer and cancer survivors, but we also put money and resources towards that. So while you might see during Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, everybody's rushing to put out their pink uniforms. Everybody's rushing to throw on the pink gloves and the pink socks. Though that is cool, that is keeping that conversation going as far as it pertains to cancer. Like, hey, we're not done with this fight. Cancer is everybody's fight. We got to find a cure for this thing. They go a step further, though. It's not only the awareness. It is, hey, and we've donated blah, 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 blah to cancer research, or we've helped this family or these families out who've struggled with cancer, or hey, look at this. We've got a cancer survivor on our team, on our college team, on our NFL team. How many times have we discussed breast cancer and cancer awareness and things we can do as individuals to help thwart the issue that is cancer? How many times have we had that conversation because D'Angelo Williams is running around with pink dreadlocks, because the Steelers are wearing pink socks or something like that? Like that is cool. But you've got to go the next step. So seeing the Black Lives Matters patch is fine, as long as the people rocking with that patch understand that there is another step. We are aware now, but simply being aware is not enough. You have to now take steps to solve the issue, and the issue of racial inequalities as it pertains to policing in black neighborhoods and communities. You have to go to that step and take that next step. And what does that look like for you? Does the University of Memphis plan on taking a long, hard look at their curriculum from a history standpoint, and plan on critiquing and changing some of the ways they teach the historical ramifications and impact of the Civil War and of the United States as a whole at large? Are they planning on doing something like that? Because that would go a long way as well. Are you planning on reaching out to Shelby County and other school districts with your findings on how to appropriately teach these set subjects and these time periods, and do a better job of telling the actual story, what actually happened? That goes a long way also. So it can't just be BLM on the back of a helmet, or BLM on a jersey or on a court. It's cool. We are aware. We know what's going on right now. Now, what are you going to do? How are you going to use your platform? How are you going to throw your weight behind this particular issue? So seeing it on the back of the helmet, I figured everybody would do something like that. But we can't let empty symbolisms, empty symbols of justice distract us or prevent us from going out there and seeking and achieving real justice, real solutions to a very real issue.
I feel like there is there's a tendency for the discussion. I think you raised the point about breast cancer awareness, and in October, it's pink socks and pink uniforms and pink helmets and pink wristbands and so on and so forth. All of which it's very important to raise awareness, and money typically follows in those sorts of things. And organizations, you can have different organizations have different levels of contribution to the actual fight, and some have administrative costs and some have other things going on, and you have to kind of look at all that before you put your money out there. Money is definitely important. The other thing that I concern a little bit is money's good, and we do need to support these causes financially, but sometimes I feel like we also just substitute that donation for involvement. And this is not a the concept of racial justice, of ending police brutality, of trying to right centuries of wrong, trying to equalize the playing field for black folks in this country, and other minorities as well, is not something that can be solved with just writing a check and there you go. Like, that's going to involve actively working in neighborhoods, in school systems, devising curriculum, teaching, learning, listening. All these things have to be in, and I fear that we're going to start substituting that check, and then that will sort of clear our conscience for whatever, and then we're good to go, and we don't get there and do the work. And I speak for all of us, myself included. Like, all of us have to do that work in addition to the money's great, and that's helpful, and it's important. But I don't want it to become a hollow symbol without the meaning, the true work that has to be done behind it. Because there are definitely some causes where money is the primary thing, and you put a lot of financial support behind it, and you can definitely get some work done. I mean, look at the COVID situation, vaccinations, all that stuff costs a lot of money. So money is definitely the driver there, and you put a whole bunch of money in there, you can materially change things. You can't change somebody's heart with money. You can't change somebody's personality and the way that they've been taught, and the way that our culture has been gone. You can't change that with just money, no matter how big the check is. It's not going to work that way. So that's my concern, CJ, is that it becomes the commercialization sort of shifts into a mode of symbolic donation. Our company is donating $2.5 million to these charities without actually getting undergirding the whole system that has been built to do all this in the first place. That's my concern.
Everybody's not an expert, so I don't want everybody going out there trying to tackle this publicly, because you are going to fumble about and end up moving things slower. I think giving money is fine if you're giving it to the right institutions. You can give that money and say, hey, we're donating to this charity because they want to end qualified community. They want to end civil asset forfeiture. They want to end the drug war. They want to end overcriminalization. They want to end mass incarceration. They want to end no-knock warrants. They want to defund police, and they want to end mandatory minimums. That is a charity that we can get behind, and this is why we're behind it, because we agree with this, and then step back and let that charity, let those experts take care of it from there. You don't have to, again, using the cancer thing, you don't have to say, you know what, I want to fight cancer. Let me go become an oncologist and do that. Well, no, everybody can't be that. Everybody's not going to be one of those, but you can do things to make their jobs easier and make sure that they have all the resources available to fight that particular disease. And you can do the same thing with this movement by giving money and lending your voice and lending your platform to those so that they can go out there and better fight and better equip themselves for a fight to pass meaningful legislature and meaningful laws. You can definitely do that. Because for me, the hearts of people, I couldn't care less about your heart. I don't at all. I care about a system that has been put in place that works by keeping black people at a certain place, at a certain level. So anything you can do to dismantle that system, I am fine with. Those hearts don't matter. I don't care if you don't like me because I'm black. I care that I can't get certain places, or that when I enter certain rooms, it is a shock and it is a struggle to get there. I care about that. And that changes with money. That changes with exposure. You're right. Hearts don't change that way. But I definitely think that if you give to the right causes and let it be known that you're giving to this cause because, again, they want to end mass incarceration, or they want to end no-knock warrants, or they want to end qualified immunity. They want to end things or pass meaningful legislation in a way that is going to fundamentally change a system of inequality. I think that's fine. That's good enough. While doing that, though, you have to take a look at yourself also and educate yourself about some of the things that you could be doing as well to help in systemic racism, not just racism in the judicial branch, not just racism as far as it pertains to policing black people in black neighborhoods, but the system overall, from health to policing to education. All of that all is intertwined and intermingled. So if you're a university and you've got this patch on your helmet, or you got this patch on your jersey, then you really do need to take a look at the curriculum that you're teaching, and are you teaching it the right way? And look at the curriculum not only that you're teaching as a major university, but look at the curriculum that is being taught in your area's high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, and say, hey, listen, we think you guys could be teaching it like this, because this is how we're teaching it from now on. And you could partner with local school districts to create a better learning atmosphere and a better teaching of these historical moments.
See that? I mean, yeah, I'm aware, and it is a process. There's no question about that. The finding that middle ground is my thing. Because this is where I differentiate it from the discussion about cancer research or any other research, because this is stuff that is, thankfully, mercifully, cancer doesn't affect everybody. It is doesn't touch it. Now, chances are someone who it has, but it may not have affected you or your immediate family as closely. Fingers crossed it won't. But this discussion about systemic racism, how to treat people, is something that does affect everybody. Whether you white, black, whatever, it's it's going to affect your life. And so that's where I think it's vital that we don't forget about that work that has to be done. I don't think you have to be. You talked about you don't have to be an oncologist to give to cancer research charities. That's true. You don't. And you don't have to learn about the specifics of oncology to understand that there are certain organizations that can do good work to help fight cancer and make it less deadly. Agreed. But this is not that. This is about the way you treat people on a personal level. This is about how we go about our day. This is about how we teach our children. This is about how they teach their children. And if we're gonna actually start making meaningful changes on a truly basic level within the system, yeah, the money's big, and money's going to help, and those are going to help build those systems out. This is going to help the educational process. It's going to help fund the legislation. Hopefully that will start to. But it also it's got to come from within, and you can't run from that particular discussion either. And I just hope I challenge everyone not to simply look at it and get numb to seeing Black Lives Matter in lots of places and just kind of say, oh, they're like, think about it, and then have that discussion and really do that work inside. Because I just think that's my worry, is that it becomes just another thing. And we've changed our behaviors to avoid, carcinogens, for example. We've given to fight lung cancer, but we've also enacted meaningful legislation. And on a personal level, people have taught their kids now that, smoking is not something that they need to do. So it takes all of it. I don't think it has to be either or, but I do think the individual level has to be involved too. And I hope folks will continue those discussions, and I hope this will spur those on. And it won't just be as simple as let's just write a check and be done with it and keep going with our normal behavior, because that won't work. That won't take us to that next level. And I want this. This is potentially a very special moment for our country, if it all works and we all come together on this. So I want to take full advantage of it. I'll put it that way.
That's the right way to be, but everybody's not equipped. So work to get equipped to have these conversations, and in the meantime, definitely give money to people who are equipped to handle this fight and have the conversations. Let them take care of this, and in the meantime, you do the necessary work to change the behavior. You give to the foundations and the organizations working to end systemic racism, while simultaneously working on yourself to make sure that you're not perpetuating and not participating either actively or inadvertently in a system that oppresses black people.
We'll come back. We'll spin that wheel of conversation. Let's talk about Major League Baseball, what they are up to, as it's a potentially very big day for them. Coming up 9:00, Rob Fisher will join us as he does every Wednesday. So lots to get to here. Warner, I hope it doesn't land on Zach's relationship corner.
I hope it does.
We can't have 2 days of it. We can't stand 2 days. It's too. The people cannot.
Told Zach when I left yesterday. Zach, call that girl. Told him exactly.
Did you call her?
No, he didn't call her.
Has anything changed since we talked, Zach?
Oh my gosh. Is it going to be on it? Come on, backspin, baby. Give me. No.
Oh. What do we got?
Animal sidekick to have.
Hey, listen. Don't be like that. Don't be like, animal sidekick to have.
Fictitious animal sidekick. Not mythological pet, not mythological
Hey,
creature,
no. Stop.
Fictional. I'm talking like a Scooby-Doo or a Hedwig or something like that, man.
Yeah, you're all depressed.
Because I want to talk more about Zach's relationship. Damn.
Well, look. Hold on. Stop for a second. All right. So fictional. So this is a fictional animal.
Sidekick. Fictional.
Right.
Sidekick.
A fictional animal sidekick. Which
Yes.
one would you want for
Yes.
yourself?
Yes.
It has to be one that's already. You can't create your own.
You can't create your own.
Okay.
And it's a character. So fictional animal character sidekick. So we've done mythological pets before. We've done like pet to be before, where we're using those types of things just in general. But this one is like Astro from the Jetsons. Like that is an animal character pet sidekick.
All right,
so
let's
one of those would you like to have?
Let's table that for the moment
Okay.
and spend the rest of this hour talking about Zach's relationship situation. Because
Good.
people have been asking about the
Thank
update, about what's going on.
Oh, thank goodness.
Lots of people we had lots of texts and questions about what's going on with Zach, what's the deal with Zach, what's Zach's situation, etc. So any updates, Zach, on what happened after we had this meeting yesterday?
No, there's
on the air. The people of the world, not just the Mid-South, but all over the world, streaming all over the internet on YouTube and Instagram and all those areas, the Periscope and Twitter and all. Has anything changed?
Yeah, there's no update. Not today.
You gonna
Is there going to be an update for tonight?
Call her today? When's the last time you talked to her?
You said what?
When's the last time you talked to her?
That was Monday.
Zach, you got her email address?
No, I got.
Send her an e-card, something. My God, man.
No. Listen, if you get her email address, when you were up last night scrolling through weird YouTube videos or whatever it is that you were doing, and you couldn't sleep, if you had sent her an email that said, "Listen, baby,
Yes.
girl, I'm up. It's 1:00 in the morning. I can't sleep because all you're doing is running through my mind. I've just been thinking about you and what we could do together in 3 weeks, or depending on what your schedule looks like.
Because you got things to do, and
Because
I
you
got things to do.
I got things to do. So obviously we can't spend that much time together. But potentially, girl, if and when our schedules realign for a brief moment, send her that email. And then she wakes up because you don't want to disturb her. You don't want to send her a text because she might not have the phone. Who knows? But she wakes up. She's she's going through her email. She checks the email and says, "What? This is over from Zach at one. This is interesting." And then you have given her that. That's a beautiful message to send that she's on your mind. And then that's just the way to go right there. That's beautiful. Because I know she was on your mind, Zach. You weren't just watching weird fight videos or whatever it was that you were watching. She was running through your mind. You were thinking about her. So tell her that.
Call that girl today and set up something, Zach. We talked.
Email her.
I mean, I got a direct line to her.
Well, then use it.
This guy.
Use it, man. You got the direct line. You got that hotline to her heart.
And you know when that hotline bling, it only mean one thing, Zach. Come on, man.
Send her the email. At the very least. You know? Send her
Hotline
that-
Bling, another great song about breaking up. Drake has a whole lot of songs about breaking up.
He do.
This is a song about breaking up.
It's all been about breaking up. Just, come on. Hey, Zach, come on. Come on. You could do this. Send her an email. Send her a poem. Come on, man. You got this. Send her a limerick. A haiku. A sonnet.
Hella hey.
Hella hey.
Yes. Hell, say hey.
That's what those horses are eating. Hella hay. So that's, come on, limerick. There once was a man named Zach who couldn't get to sleep on his back. I was thinking about you because you're going to be my boo. Now, I hope this limerick isn't whack. There it is, right there. I just made that up on the spot. Send her one of those. She's gonna be putty in your hands. Y'all call Zach 360-8255. Tell him to get in touch with this girl. If she's listening, call Zach 360-8255. Text 67129. We'll see if the Hatchet Man has any thoughts on this as well, among other things. Here's coming up next. Rob Fisher. When we return, Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7.
When we were younger and free.
Glad to announce the Rendezvous open for business 11A to 8P Tuesday through Saturday.
Hatchet Man, who joins us now, Rob Fisher, of course, at The Fish Nation on the Twitter. Soon enough, back on your screen in some form or fashion, as the Grizzlies will resume play later this month. We can say that. How about that? That's exciting. That we can say that. And some activities going on right now with the Hatchet Man. I don't know what's happening over there, Rob Fisher, but I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, we had a load dumped on the driveway this morning already. So another load number 4, been delivered to the residents.
Dropping loads this morning, huh?
Man, everybody can't go 3 or 4 loads in the morning. That usually takes all day.
Usually, yeah. So we're getting after it early here today with another load. So yeah, hopefully this is the last one.
How many loads are y'all expecting? I know you said hopefully this is the last one. You think you got 1 or 2 more loads in you?
We'll take care of these 3 loads today. I mean, we got 3 loads in this 1 load delivered today. So hopefully we'll get after it. Yeah, so it was a triple load morning.
I can't imagine last time I had triple load delivered.
And especially in the morning.
Especially in the morning.
No. Well,
got some strong coffee.
You're eating right. That's healthy living. That's what it's all about right there. So you guys, before we talk about what's going on around the basketball world, a good get on getting the old Dave Yeager for Keegan Sports. Mm-hmm. How'd you manage to hook that up, huh?
Yeah, no, just have some contacts, man. Some contacts. It was fun. I was visiting with the Eggs yesterday, and it was cool talking to him after Keegan did her interview with him, and just started reminiscing a little bit about some of the great Grizzlies moments while he was both an assistant coach and a head coach, and he was just talking about it, enjoying, reminiscing about those wonderful times and times that he really shared. And I got to have a great relationship with him. And, being a head coach is all he ever dreamed about. And when he got the opportunity, I think took advantage of it. And he did a nice job with Sacramento as well. Unfortunately, the one thing that he's got to do going forward is he's got to get along with his bosses a little bit better than he has.
That's true.
In his first 2 stints. So, hopefully he'll get another opportunity to coach, and he wants to coach. He wants to get back out there. And I think we've learned from watching him in Memphis and watching him in Sacramento that the guy can coach. We know that for sure. It's just he's got to be better with his relationships with the people that are paying him and the people that are above him, and that's been a problem in both of his stops.
Did he happen to mention anything about what he thought about the NBA's restart plan, or if he was glad that he wasn't having to be a part of that, being separate from his family for so long?
Yeah, well, the thing is, he didn't mention that. He's excited about it. I think, like a lot of people, just to look at it and see how compelling it can be or could be. So he's excited about it getting started. The thing that has hurt him is trying to get another job. Everything's been pushed back so much, and then when the off season comes, it's going to be such a short off season that how much movement's going to be made and things of that nature. So it's kind of been it's hurt his career going forward. But he's got to spend a lot of time with his girls, and he recently got remarried, so he's had a lot of good family time, like a lot of us have.
Well, it's been different, and has you spent time? I know he's a man who's known to be on the farm, with the horses out there. So I'm sure he appreciates your hatchet man approach to the outdoors. You guys get any outdoors tips about getting out there in the land?
We really discussed killing weeds.
He
was getting ready to go kill some weeds, and I had been killing some weeds. So we discussed that. The weeds, man. Let me tell you something. They just don't go away. They don't. You can do all you want. You can spray. You can put this little powder stuff down. You can do what you want. But I mean, there's one area here. I got rid of all these weeds, and then the next thing you know, 2 days later, all these mushrooms are coming up. What? So now I got to go get like mushroom killer.
What is? How do you? Is it different than killing regular weeds?
I don't know. I'll have to ask my wife. She'll know. But it's a pain. It's a pain. They take over your life, is what they do, and they delay your progress. It's what the biggest problem is.
What about
Can you cook them up though? Cook them up or eat them?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I don't. I mean, they're not good looking. Well, not that mushrooms are. I mean, maybe the ugliest thing you ever put in your mouth. But.
Debatable.
Open that up on your little text line.
Put that on the wheel of conversation. What's the ugliest thing you ever put in your mouth? Let's go. 360-8255.
Right.
Okay, let's get it. All right, let's get down to it. Let's talk. Let's get real. This is real talk.
All right. Loads of ugly things that fit in your mouth. Okay, let's do it. What about other pests, Rob? What about the insects? Are you having any issues with insects? My yard is covered in flies and mosquitoes, and I can't seem to treat the yard enough without the mosquitoes and the flies coming back.
We've tried some new mosquito stuff. We have new bug people. So they've come in and helped. We got the Eradicator. I don't know if you're familiar with the Eradicator. They're like these little. They're like these cones that you put some water and there's a solution. And you hang them in the trees, and you're supposed to hang them like at least 80 feet from where you congregate. So the mosquitoes are drawn to it, and then it's supposed to kill them. So we're giving that a shot. The mosquitoes, the flies is a thing, man.
Oh my gosh!
Just like the weeds, and there ain't no fly spray. There's just
no. There is a fly spray. There is fly spray.
Okay.
You gotta. It's a.
How effective is it, Peter? Does it work, or does it kind of work?
No.
I need to get rid of the flies in my morning coffee.
So I had to use there's metered fly spray, and it's there's different types, but it's often for like horses. You use it for barns and stuff, right? But it works for regular. It works for house flies as well. And
the highest rated fly sprays are like found at. You have to go to the vet.
Yes. So you got to go to like the horse store. You got to go to the
where's the nearest horse store?
You got to go to Horse Smart, and go get
Horseco.
Yeah, that's right. Horseco is great. Go and check that out. I'm sure our friend, Kristen Talent. You remember Kristen Talent from back in the day? She's a big horse, horse aficionado as well. She might have some information to help with Dave. You can talk to Yeags. He's had horses. I know.
Yeah.
He probably has some thoughts on that too. But go get the horse. There's this fly stuff that we used, and it was very effective. You'd spray it around, and it was good. Very, very, very toxic. So be careful. But
well, I don't care. They're my nemesis. them in the weeds.
Oh, the flies are
just the worst.
Absolutely.
And we've had some wasps. So got the wasp and hornet spray, which is always fun to chase them around and get after them because they that spray hits them and boom, it's over. It's over that fast. So been chasing them around a little bit too because I got stung by a wasp a couple weeks ago for the first time in my life.
Oh no! How was that experience?
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't great. It got me like right in the chest.
Ooh.
I was in a pool, and it got me right in the chest, and it stung me, and it wasn't a pleasant experience, and it hurt for a couple days, a little bump, but it's okay now. But
thankfully, you're not allergic. Thankfully, you're not allergic, though. That's the important thing.
No, but see, because I was nervous. I mean, I was nervous. I said, hey, make sure we have some Benadryl or something because I've had some problems in the past. Yellow Jacket once got me when I used to work at Kenrick's Meat Market as a young lad, and I got hit by a Yellow Jacket in the throat. And after that happened, my throat swelled. And then at the golf tournament one year, got fire ants and throat
fire ants will
closed.
get you. They'll get you.
Oh man, they are attacking little evil things.
They are.
They got me, so I was a little nervous about the wasp, but toughened through it and got through the day. And it was tough though, man. It was tough. Those wasps, they'll make you rethink things,
No, there's no question. But I'm proud of you. That's strong. It's difficult. My son got attacked when he was 4. He inadvertently came across a wasp nest that was in a hole in a pipe, and he just happened to come across it, and they 3 or 4 of them came on and all stung him. It was a whole thing.
No,
that was rough patch. We had some fear of wasps to this day, many years later, still as a result of all of that. Rob Fisher, Hatchet Man, joining us.
To the people that have survived wasp bites.
Yeah, I've survived yellow jacket and wasp attack and horse flies as well, and it's hard out there in these streets. Everybody, be safe. Are you stacking plates? It sounds like you're stacking plates. Are you doing dishes?
No, my wife is laboring. She is shoveling part of the load to take to the backyard while I sit here and talk nonsense on the phone.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's it. Shout out to Dipty. What's up, Dipty? Good work.
Shout out to Dipty is what she shook her head.
I hope she acknowledged that while she was working much harder than you.
Well, that's usually the deal. Usually working a lot harder than I am.
See, all I see is you at like Lowe's or Home Depot, just taking like grocery carts full of stuff, and then that's about it. That seems to be about the extent of it, right?
Yeah, and if you see a video of me doing work, that's usually like a finishing touch, and that's about it. Yeah.
You come in and yep, that's right. Let me finish the job here. That's right.
It's a fraud.
That's fine. No, let's keep that fraud going until we can get some more free gear for you. You may be back to work soon enough. I know that the folks, the Fox Sports folks, everyone's working on trying to figure out how best to broadcast all this stuff. And I think everyone's going to be remotely. You guys are going to be doing it remotely, but it looks like it's going to happen in some form or fashion now that we know the schedule, Fish. What do you think of the schedule, and what have you been hearing about how you guys are going to be putting this thing out there?
Schedule, is what it is. You knew it was going to be difficult. I mean, the thing is, every game for every team the rest of the way, you're playing playoff teams or teams that are competing for the playoffs. So nobody's schedule is easy. And, so while I don't think the Grizzlies' schedule got any harder, I think that everybody else's did. So, I think that's, I don't know, beneficial for the Grizzlies, but I think it evens things out a little bit schedule-wise, which is good. As far as what we're going to do, I mean, again, nothing has been set in stone. I think everything's still being worked out. And But yeah, we're expecting to do it remotely, and it'll be interesting. We're going to have to get creative on some of the things that we do on as far as like especially my job with sideline reporting and not being on the sideline. There are a lot of things in the works of what we could be doing, and just kind of brainstorming right now of ideas and things, because we're expecting huge crowds to be watching and huge audience to be watching when basketball returns, maybe as big as we've ever had, because of the anticipation and everyone waiting so long to watch sports actually happen. So, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a different experience for sure, and it'll be unique, and it'll be tough, I think, for Pete and Brevin to call a game off the monitor, but they're both pros, and I'm sure Pete will have it down the first 5 minutes of the game, and it'll be interesting. We're just excited.
Well, I've called a game with Pete on the monitor, a soccer match with Pete on the monitor, so I know I've got a little experience with all of that.
I'll tell you what, that experience certainly helps, no doubt about it, because I've done it as well, and Pete's done it. That he at least kind of knows what to expect going in. And what he has to do. And a lot of times, when a coach will stand in front of Pete and Brevin, or, referees in front of them, or guys that are about to check in or standing in front of them, they'll have to call a game off monitor for little parts of the game. But to do it for a whole game, it's going to take getting used to. But, he's a pro. He's a professional broadcaster, and he'll get it down quick.
Well, we'll see. I know it's still up in the air about all this stuff, and whether this thing is even gonna go on. I assume it is, but there's been some discussion, about that because of the case level and the number of positives in the Orange County and in the areas surrounding the Walt Disney World Resort and the complex and everything else that are going on. And we've seen guys get test positive. Trevor Ariza is not going to go because of financial situation and a custody situation that he's got going. You've got Spencer Dinwiddie and DeAndre Jordan, who've both tested positive. You've got a few Avery Bradley is choosing to sit it out. You've got other players that are positive that we've not necessarily identified yet. 3 Pelicans, 4 players from another Western Conference playoff team that have not been announced. The Nuggets had to shut things down a little bit. In terms of who you've seen that might be affected by this, Fish, what's the most surprising one, or the one that kind of got your attention?
Good question. Well, obviously Brooklyn. I mean, they're the only team, it seems, that's going to be going to this thing in tank mode. They're going to be putting out a lineup that's going to be pretty interesting. I think the Lakers thing's interesting, waiting on Dwight Howard. The NBA had a date that they wanted, but Rob Pelinka talking yesterday about Dwight Howard made it sound like that's still up in the air on whether or not he'll play. So without Avery Bradley, and if Dwight Howard doesn't play, I think that those are a couple of tough losses for the Los Angeles Lakers. They pick up J.R. Smith, but okay, that's fine. But
it's exciting.
I think Dwight. I haven't been a big fan of Dwight over the years, but I think what he's done in his role with the Lakers has been great, and has made their bench unit very difficult because of how big they can play coming off the bench. And so I think he's been great for them, and I think that'd be a tough loss. So a couple of tough losses for the Lakers, which make it interesting. Not to say they're still not the best team in the Western Conference, but I think a couple of losses that, they'll miss those guys when they play.
There's going to be more. By the time we talk next week, there'll be more information out there. We'll have it all for you. In the meantime, enjoy your fourth, whatever it is that you guys are going to be up to, and I can't wait for the opening of the backyard Shangri-La that you're putting together.
It's going to be fantastic, man. It's going to be a huge party. We might have to get cameras over here, and do this segment on the Facebook. And
we got to do it.
And all the stuff, the Periscope and whatever,
please,
and what have you.
Please, I beg.
Maybe
you,
a remote.
please.
Maybe you guys could do a remote from here. That'd be good.
Okay.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm loving every bit of that. Fantastic. Rob Fisher, thank you so much. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Thanks, Rob.
So it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
He's the Hatchet Man, ladies and gentlemen. He's 3 loads in already this morning. Is the Hatchet Man. Very impressive. dumping.
Expecting more loads.
I mean, it's what
Loads going everywhere.
It's what happens. But that's how you build. That's how you build for the future, and he's doing it.
He is certainly doing
Congratulations to him. When we return, we're going to discuss that topic that the Wheel of Conversation and the gods of the wheel managed to get for it.
It says 23 minutes, but y'all line up next to each other and go 55. Just because you're going the speed limit, why the hell are you just chilling in the left lane? Like, I want to get literally out of the car and just slap the hell out of you. It's called the passing lane for a reason. If you're cruising and you got your speed thing tapped, get in the middle lane. Get in the right lane. There's 4 damn lanes on 240. 4 of them. And I had 4 18-wheelers looking like a bunch of a-holes, if you know what I'm saying. I said nicest way I could put it. And I'm wondering why to myself, why is it we're having so many problems and fights and all this stuff? And we're all, like, literally mask is a debate and a fighting point? Like, we have, like, Lloyd is fighting in Germantown. Karens are doing all this. What I'm trying to say is, America, you have become so damn selfish. Go to a naturalization. Go see people who are so proud to become Americans and realize what it is that this country is about, maybe. And we will be better and better suited for it. You keep sit there and basically, I don't know how to say this in a kind way, but living off of your mommy or in her basement, but I was going to say something totally different, something that maybe like an animal might do to its, but get off your mothers and your fathers. Go out there and be a human being, and also do me a favor. Learn what the golden rule is. Treat people as you want to be treated. And the young man who I almost knocked out today, you better be lucky it is 2020. You better be lucky it is 2020. Now, I'm stepping in the box, damn it, because I'm ready to lead this thing off.
Sounds like we need to start a new segment just asking you how your day was to this point. Good God.
Bro, dude, is that not ridiculous?
Oh, I will say the one thing that does bother me when I'm on the interstate is when 18-wheelers are just blocking my, like, get over right. Like, get out of my way.
There's 4 lanes. Why are all 4 of you hanging out next to you? What are y'all doing? Like, I don't even know what to think y'all are doing to each other. It's scary.
Okay, anyway, let's start here. The state of Arizona, we talked about it yesterday. They're back in phase 1 after nearly 4,000 positive tests on Sunday. Arizona's football team sort of hoped to start formal activities July 6th, and it prepares for its scheduled season opener on August 29th. I just want to ask, how at risk, in your opinion, you talk about L.A. County, California, they've been stringent with their laws as well. How at risk is the Pac-12 of failing to start the season on time?
I honestly right now don't think it's just the Pac-12, Gabe. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that you worded this absolutely. I think you asked a great question. I just think there was one thing that you could have dropped, just the Pac-12. How sure are you that football is going to start on time? Right now, the arrogance, the actual seeing what Clemson to LSU, thinking about how many of these coaches are keeping a lot of this stuff under wraps and hiding this. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? Listening to crazy sports writers saying, hey, let's just give every single college football player COVID-19 and then we can have football. Well, what about the people in the stands? Again, we forget about these certain variables. We need a vaccine. We need people wearing masks. If we want football, we got to pray that this thing works out. And all these, we got to hit these check marks. We got to hit this stuff. But it's not just the Pac-12, and I wish it was, Gabe.
The reason I ask is I think they might be, in the
the
grand scheme of things, the first domino to fall.
I think you're right. And
it
by
might,
the way, I get the question.
It will cause a chain reaction, I think, if they do make that move.
You don't think the Big 12 is waiting on the Pac-12? Do you not see the Big 12 just sitting there getting smoked by the COVID-19? Texas is dying. People in Oklahoma, it ain't working out. You got Lincoln Riley freaking out. You got crazy, my man, Mullet Master, Mr. I'm 40, I'm a man, Mike Gundy going bananas, just wanting this season to disappear so he can go up underneath a rock and start next year anew. Big 12, it'll go Pac-12, Big 12. Then ACC realizes Clemson's all they got. They'll fall. And then you know what? It'll be the Ohio State. I mean, it'll be, because I call the Big Ten Ohio State.
Is SEC last?
No, it'll be basically the Big Ten, which is Ohio State, waiting to see if the SEC is going to be the one that falls. And I think the last domino to actually fall will be the SEC, because the Big Ten just is Ohio State.
All right, so I'm gonna bring this up. FC Dallas. Did you hear about what happened to them?
Is that horrible to think that?
What?
Is that it's gonna die? I mean, did I just kill people's dreams on July 3rd?
Look, man, you have your opinion on it, and I think it's pretty becoming more and more obvious that we're heading toward a reality where that might be a serious consideration. Like, just truth of the matter.
I hope I'm wrong, by the way,
I think
Gabe.
football
I
will
just
be
hope I'm
played at
wrong.
some point because
I hope
of
I'm
the
wrong.
financial implications, but I'm
pray
not
I'm
convinced it'll
wrong.
start on time. Now, I'm going to bring this up and then bring up the NBA. FC Dallas, they're in the MLS. Obviously, they're going to start their tournament. They tested on June 27th before they headed to their Orlando bubble site. And every member of the traveling party tested negative. Now, when they showed up to the bubble site in Orlando, 6 people from their traveling group tested positive. This was after they got to the bubble. And then today, I want to sort of relate this to Adam Silver. What he said today is, we're testing daily. We haven't put a precise number on it, but if we were to see a large number of cases and see the spread in our community, that would, of course, be a cause to stop as well. And I'm curious at this point. We've seen the MLS and how their bubble has been dealt with right now. They have 6 people catch it once they got to the
Correct.
bubble. Have we overestimated the NBA's readiness going into the bubble?
Unequivocally, I was wrong. You were wrong. I think Brian Windhorst, who admitted he was wrong in an article, Maria Taylor, Rachel Nichols, most of these people, Stephen A. Smith, most of the people who've been on TV boasting about how great the NBA has done, I think they've all been full of S, just like I have, because I feel like I have been full of it. And you know what? I almost feel like I fell into that trap. Silver is easy to believe. The NBA is something that always seems like they're, they hit you with the flash, the pizzazz. We're going to put the stuff on the uniforms. We're going to have, we're going to go in a bubble. The NBA spent $150 million on this bubble. If they didn't spend $150 million going into today, I don't even think that they'd give this damn thing a try, because they realize they done screwed this thing up already. And the chances to finish, I hate to say this, Jay Will, I don't usually agree with anything that man says. Everything he said about this going into a bubble, looking into the people who can come and go, the hot spot that is Florida, the way that the coronavirus hides in your system and then it comes out. Are you kidding me? If this breaks out, and he says something that just made me think to myself, what the hell are we doing? For entertainment, we're really going to put these people's lives at risk? Because what if somebody does, who has asthma, get this, they get it bad, they go on a respirator and they die, and you can sit there, because I've already had a text. Only 0.3 people from the age of 18 to 27 have died. 0.03 is what he says. I hear you. It's not about the percentage. People are dying.
It's not about death.
And imagine, and it's also about the future and getting sick and what the future things. We don't know. Many people, and I've read a few reports, up to as many as 30%. 30% of people who catch this have lung issues for the rest of their life. You aren't talking about that. I don't hear y'all talking about that, do you?
The problem is, I've said this before, it's not about death, it's about repercussions. And you talk about Von Miller, who caught it in Denver and has been talking about how it was to come back. He said his lungs have not been able to fully get back to where he was beforehand. And
again, I'm going to
that's
say
the thing that people need to realize. There's rehabilitation to this thing. If you get sick during a game week, it's going to be really tough for you to come out and give it your all and be good in that game right after you recover. It's going to be tough. So, and also, The reason that I think I fell for the trap for the NBA is because the bubble environment.
Bubble
You
gave
think
it to me.
you think
they spent
okay,
$150 million on it. People weren't going to
Exactly.
be able to come in and out. They talked about all this stuff. The bubble got me. Like, oh hell, this
I
is
figured,
gonna work.
they're going to go in there. No
This
one's
is
going.
gonna
They're not. No one's going to catch it, but they're gonna have it under control. And after seeing the FC Dallas thing, once they got to the bubble, they had 6 people test positive. That definitely discouraged the hell out of me.
And then, of course, them closing, what was it, Denver yesterday? Right when they opened up, they closed their thing because it's just so. It's getting to a point to where you're like, and I hate to say this, but you brought this up. I'm going back to one simple thing that I said yesterday and said last night, basically at the end of the night. I knew it was coming. Damn, I knew it was coming. But I'm so depressed about baseball, and I'm talking minor league baseball. But any ball canceled is just sadly maddening. I knew it was coming, but once they put out the thing last night and I had to read it and I knew it was canceled, it's still maddening and saddening. But do you know what? They made the right decision. I mean, they made the right decision. The fans, people coming into the ballpark, all that stuff. Now we got to think, is the NBA, because they spent $150 million on this bubble. You have LeBron, who wants this deadgum Larry O'Brien trophy. They've signed JR. Is it going to go on just for simple fact of a want and a desire for money, or should it go on?
Don't ask me that. But enough negativity, okay? I'm glad I don't have to make these decisions. I really am. It would be horrible.
Too. I am
now,
too.
let's have a little bit of fun.
Let's do it.
Today's Bobby Bonilla Day. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bobby.
He's getting $1.19 million a year until he's 72. I wish I had that contract. I really do. That is fantastic.
Bernard Madoff made Bobby Bonilla Day, by the way.
Now, in
in
honor of this,
Madoff is look him up.
In honor of this miserable contract, in honor of Bobby Bonilla Day, give me some of the worst contracts in sports or otherwise ever negotiated.
Shocking. I'm going to do a little interesting one. I did one coach. I said Phil Jackson. He wasn't a coach. He was more the general manager. But they signed him to a 5-year, $60 million deal with the New York Knicks. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you know that they went 17-65 under Phil?
Yep.
Do you know that that's $3.529 million a win? More than $3.5 million a win. Dude, that is a nightmare for me. What you got?
I'm going to start here with Chris Davis, man, from the Orioles. 7 years, $161 million.
I like
to get
that.
this right after he signed it at the end of the 2015 season,
I
right?
like it.
Now get this. The next 4 years, he went on to hit 221, 215, 179, and 168. And he struck out the year after getting his contract 219 times. That led the league. He's led the league several times in strikeouts, though.
Oh.
So that's a miserable contract in the MLB. And we also can't ignore the one right here in our hometown, right?
Oh, you got to go with
Chandler Parsons,
yeah.
man. 4 years, $94 million to play 95 games total with the Grizzlies. You do the math, that's nearly $1 million a game. $94 million, 95 games. I mean, you can figure that one out.
Yeah, Chris Davis, Bobby Bonilla, but I just want to tell you something. I think Bobby Bonilla literally should write to Bernard Madoff. I know he's in prison, he's lonely. He should say, Bernie, without you, you couldn't have pulled the wool over the Mets organization where I had a $5-6 million buyout, and then they decided to pay me to 2035 $1.2 million a year, man. I hadn't laced it up.
That's great, man.
Since
Good for Bobby,
2000.
though.
It was a $5.9 million contract. He's turned that thing into $29.8 million. Bobby Bo, we love you.
How about a low-key one that we
Well,
never
dude,
really think about? Albert Pujols.
Well, okay.
240 mil? That was not
Albert,
a good. That was
that's
not
a
a
good
good deal.
But what about Albert Hainsworth?
Oh, worst deal.
Bro, Albert Hainsworth, I looked this one up. He got $6.3 million a sack after he signed with Washington. Because he only got his $41 million guarantee. He signed that $100 million. He did get his $41 million guarantee. His whole career at Washington, 6.5 sacks. At $41 million, that's $6.3 million a damn sack, yo.
Now, I know this guy I'm about to mention was a number 1 overall pick, but did you realize how much money Jamarcus Russell made?
Oh, I saw that.
$32 million guaranteed.
Unbelievable.
His rookie deal was 6 years, $68 million to be the quarterback for the Raiders. And we know how that ended up.
You brought up Raiders. I got one guy that beats him, Matt Flynn. When the Raiders took over his salary from Seattle, the number of passes he completed, it turned out to $1.1 million per pass. Not completion, per pass attempt. That's how few passes he took, and they gave that man $21 million. And then last but not least, what the hell did the Bears do and give Jay Cutler $120 million? The year after he led the league in interception, insanity. We can talk about this stuff all day. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. We have so much NFL to talk about. My very good friend, Russell Copeland, he's next. Never forget, MemphisFarmers.com, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7 FM.
Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats. Weekday afternoons from 3 till 6. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Glad to announce the Rendezvous open for business 11A to 8P Tuesday through Saturday. World famous Rendezvous up and running.
We will be with you until 6 o'clock on AM 560, 87.7 FM, and 96.1 FM. At this time on Wednesday, we visit with our friend TJ Reeves down in Tampa, St. Pete. He's the Buccaneers radio sideline reporter. He hosts and does play-by-play on TuneIn and also Three Dog Thursday podcast. And, oh, yeah, by the way, those gorgeous twins, are they going to start school on time, TJ?
We are hoping so. Good to be with you. The twins just turned 12, the twin daughters. We have survived birthday weekend. Now we get the 4th of July as well. So, and I don't know about Memphis. How is it currently in the River City? Because in Tampa, it is seven different shades of hot right now. So I don't know about
steamy.
Memphis right now.
It's pretty humid.
This was the week that the golf tournament was supposed to be in town, and we said all the national guys would be boo-hooing about how humid it is.
Well, I will probably retell this with Wolo, but one of the hottest days and times that I've been in was in Memphis, Tennessee 5 years ago with my family, and it involves going to the Memphis Zoo in July with the twins, and we might have been hotter in an oven at 450 with lemon butter on us, but I'm not sure. It would have been close. So it's hot everywhere.
What year, TJ?
2015, 5 years ago. So the twins would have been 7 when we came and had that trip. So it was hot that summer as well in July.
Now, it's hot today. It's the whole humidity thing. The temperature is not that bad. It's not one of those days when you get inside your car and you can't touch anything without scalding because it's not that. It's just the day that all 3 hairs I have on my head are standing up.
Yeah, it is hot everywhere. It is summer, and look, we all are looking for different things right now to occupy us, especially at night. We don't have baseball. Of course, they play baseball inside down here at Tropicana Field for the Rays indoors, but we don't have any of that going on. So we got to occupy ourselves with being cool, still being safe, being social distanced. The beaches are still open here for now for July 4th. Weekend. The beaches are closing in a lot of different places. Palm Beach County, Florida. I saw Los Angeles closing their beaches up. The Jersey Shore is closing up for July 4th weekend. But for right now, we are open, and hopefully everybody is smart and responsible and socially distances and does the right things with that for sure.
TJ, when do you start your Buccaneers prep? Have you started? When normally do you start? Because I'm kind of going forward just whistling along and doing it like I always have. I'm getting ready for college and pro football and hope that we have it. In fact, in some of the studying for the NFL, I mentioned yesterday the Kansas City Chiefs and their offensive line, that Buccaneer offensive line in front of Tom Brady, that offensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers, it could be really, really something to see next year. But what about you? When do you normally start? Are you preparing just like you normally would or not?
Yes, I normally start probably in the summer, June, July, looking at different things, looking at your team, looking at the different teams in the division. And, of course, it will be weird to have Jameis Winston still in the division, albeit as a backup with the New Orleans Saints. But back to the Buccaneers, yeah, you're trying to get familiar with new players. And obviously this is the case for everybody. This is the same situation for everybody. Nobody's been around the new guys because of the pandemic. With the free agent acquisitions, in the Bucs case, Brady and Gronkowski, with the drafts that take place, in the Bucs case, it's the big offensive lineman from Iowa, Tristan Wirfs, but also defensive back Antoine Winfield Jr., the son of the former Minnesota Viking DB. We haven't been around these guys to be able to get to know them a little better, find out more about them. Now we've gotten to see things through social media, from team websites. They do Zoom calls or video conference calls with these guys, but in terms of being able to actually be around them, that we haven't had that. We hope that as training camp begins, we'll be able to cover this some. There are probably not going to be fans at any of the training camps at any of the NFL sites. The NFL did announce that all the teams are going to train at their own facility, their own sites, probably without fans. The hope would be, who knows, it's fluid, it's week to week, that there will be fans allowed at the games by the time we get to August, the preseason, and certainly the regular season in September. So let's wait and see. But, yeah, the answer is I've already started what I would normally do. You're looking into it, and you're doing the best that you can to keep up with all these new guys that you haven't been around yet.
Yeah, and TJ, I just got learned this a little bit ago that the NFL has decided to cut their preseason games down to 2 games only. Is that enough for teams to truly get ready for a season where they're already going to have so many hurdles to go through this summer?
Well, I think one of the real concerns right now is, can they start training camp on time? The usual timeline would be the 3rd week in July, and most everybody is practicing by the 4th week of July, to get ready to play preseason games a couple of weeks later. So they're obviously operating right now, the NFL, on every couple of weeks, let's evaluate. And so the belief would have to be, if you're going to reduce to 2 games in the preseason, not everybody may be able to meet and practice at the end of this month. So you're trying to be fair with, can everybody be practicing by the 1st week in August, at the end of July, 1st week in August. And then you do need at least a couple of weeks to play games. And to be as fair as possible, everybody would play 1 at home, 1 away. And I'll be fascinated, like in the Buccaneers case. All right, so let's bring it back to them. Typically in the preseason, the starters would probably play, I think we've talked about this before on the simple math, about 6 to 7 of the 16 quarters in the 4 games. Again, the starters would play, and some of them play even less, and some of them don't even play at all. Remember last year, Willows talked about this. He bemoaned it. His Chicago Bears starters didn't play at all in their 4 preseason games. Well, now if you only got 2 of them, how much are these guys going to play, especially if they're worried about risking injury in the second one? But I think you may see that some teams look at this and say, we got to play guys at least the first half of the first game and maybe a quarter of game number 2, because that's the only live contact they're really going to have before the games start for real.
And it could be limited rosters as well, Drew, in that preseason, and cut out a lot of people their opportunity to take their shot at football glory and getting on an NFL roster. All right, TJ, let's go to baseball. This question has been asked a bunch, and Buster Olney sent shockwaves through the baseball world with his answer. Give me your percentage that baseball starts. Give me your percentage that baseball crowns a champion.
Okay, so I don't know what Buster said, so enlighten me on that before I give my answer. What is he? Is he doom and gloom on this?
Oh,
he was 5% at a start and 0 at a champion crown.
5% that it starts. I will go 50-50 that it starts. Maybe it doesn't start on their exact timeline, but it starts at some point, somehow, some way. Again, I am pessimistic that they're going to be able to finish all of this. Not just for the coronavirus sake, but how many guys want to come and play and do this in spread out locations? And again, you could have this flare back up because their idea is to play all the way through October and maybe even into early November, depending on if necessary with the postseason. I'll put finishing at somewhere around like 25%. How about that? I'll be a little more optimistic than Buster Olney there on that one. But
50
there are a lot
25.
of hurdles.
Yeah, I'm not as optimistic as you, TJ. I won't believe that it's actually going to happen until I see the first pitch and we've actually got something in the scorebook. But how many how many more players do you think are going to opt out in baseball? We've already had 4 or 5 just in the last couple of days. Do you think there's going to be a lot more to come?
That's a real legitimate concern, and you would have to believe that from Tony Clark's standpoint, who heads the Players Association, and the player reps on all the different teams, that they signed off at least on, hey, let's try to get the 50 or 60 games in without everybody in a large group, in a large herd, suddenly saying, we're not going to do this. I don't think we've reached near that point. There will be some guys who don't want to do it for whatever reason. I mean, I understand. I totally understand that there are some players who are saying, hey, I have concerns about this family member or that family member or this extended family member that has a compromised immune system or respiratory problems in the past, and I don't want to risk it right now when there is no vaccine. How do you tell that player, no matter how much money they make, yeah, you absolutely have to play no matter what? It's a tough call, but I would have to think, just back to the point, that Tony Clark and the players' reps of the different teams went over this with the rank and file and said, whatever we decide, the majority of us are going to go play. Otherwise, we have a total fiasco, guys. And Brett may be nodding. I can't see you right now. That the total fiasco is a more realistic possibility here, that there is going to be a large group of guys that aren't going to want to play. I don't know.
I'm betting total fiasco because baseball's supposed to opening game. That's the only one that's been announced. No other schedule, but the Nationals hosting the Yankees supposed to be 3 weeks from tomorrow. Is that right? Yes, 3 weeks from tomorrow. The 23rd
or 23rd, yes.
Right.
Right.
That 3 weeks. Does it feel like we're going to have baseball 3 weeks from tomorrow? Not no, but you know what? No.
Well, again, you've got some that want to do this, that want to play. That again, if you're at a lower level of the pay scale right now, you are wanting whatever money you can get your hands on to go and play, and you're wanting the opportunity to go and play, and you're wanting the opportunity to be in the postseason because, oh, by the way, the postseason is still going to count, going to matter, and going to be extra money
and a great pool of money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. Let's just see. We're all in agreement, the three of us, and if Wolo was here, he would be in agreement too. They should have been playing in May. They should have already figured out something with all the scenarios. Absolutely. But it's obvious they were operating Major League Baseball on the timeline of how do we run the clock down to the point where we can only have a 60-game schedule, and that's what they did. But they could have been playing in May and June and socially distance and have no fans and find a way to play some of the games. So it is frustrating. We're all missing it, that's for sure.
Next thing, golf. I think golf has distinguished itself over these last 3 weeks and now starting the 4th week of their return. Fanless, a lot of testing, not a lot of bad publicity. You thought that I thought that Connecticut and Detroit would be different vibe and a different media reception for them, never mind the test, never mind the positives, then kind of the coziness of Fort Worth and Hilton Head. It mostly has been. It's been pretty cozy media, but they're trying to get to Muirfield Village for the next 2 weeks after this week. And then I think with the 2 weeks at Muirfield Village, then the tournament in Minneapolis, then Memphis, then a major, that would be a big sigh of relief for the Poobahs, the leadership of the PGA Tour.
And a week ago, I was coming on the air with you after Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, had the press conference where, again, he basically could have gone the other way and said, hey, out of the caution and out of all the concern, we're going to close this back down again. But I believe he understands everything that's at stake. Again, I don't know how many times I've said this with you guys, but I've said it everywhere. We should not be unreasonable. Nobody should be stupid and take unnecessary risks. But I applaud, just like what you said, that Jay Monahan said, we are a sport where it's naturally easier to socially distance as it is, because it's not 11 on 11 across the line of scrimmage. It's not 5 on 5 like basketball right up next to each other, trying to guard each other, shoot over each other. Golf, you can naturally socially distance. a lot of your listeners, a lot of friends, acquaintances, people I know, an audience that I talk to have been playing golf at one point or another the last 2 or 3 months because you can socially distance to do it. So good on the tour. There's multi-millions at stake. There are guys that are trying to make a living. Again, not so much for the highest end players, but for the guys that are, say, 50 through 125 or 50 through 150, this is their living. This is the time when they are trying to make money and trying to survive for a lot of them, week to week, cut to cut, year to year. So I applaud what they're doing, and I believe they're going to persevere on. I mean, you had an interesting situation develop last week where caddies had tested positive, and you had players like Brooks Koepka and Webb Simpson say, hey, even though I have not tested positive, I'm not going to put anybody else at risk. I'll withdraw. You had the interesting thing with Jason Day feeling like he might have had COVID-19 or been exposed to it in the middle of a tournament. They let him continue to play while he had been tested by himself. It turns out he was negative on the test. So they've done a really good job to this point of managing it and being an example that you can be reasonable, be smart, and continue to play a sport like golf. And let's hope we get some more drama and some more excitement as this builds up in the summer. We're going to get a bunch of great golf tournaments, hopefully, if we can get to them, including Memphis, including the PGA Tour playoffs, and the U.S. Open, if we can get to them.
TJ, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll do it again next week. Dave will be back the following week, but have a great Independence Day weekend and festivities this weekend, and I'll talk to you tonight at 6:15 Central Time.
Absolutely. It's great to be with you, Drew. Glad that you're making sure that Brett behaves. Somebody's got to.
I'm keeping him in control.
You guys do well. And, Brett, I look forward to having you on the Three Dog Thursday podcast. The fans in Memphis can find that podcast anywhere that you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. And we're even going to do a little video roundtable tonight with stats. I'm looking forward to it, brother. Thank you, guys. Be well.
Thanks, TJ.
I'm ready. Thank you very much. TJ Reeves with us on Wednesday afternoon talking a panoply of sports. You can join us at 67129 on the First Bank text line or 360-8255. Always at the First Bank phone line. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. First Bank, they know what you need. Reliable, trustworthy Memphis bankers that can give you an answer in a quick fashion. They make the decisions about you, for you, right here in Memphis. Not Birmingham, not Nashville, not Knoxville, not Atlanta, not anywhere else. Right here in Memphis. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. We round out hour number 1. That's next on Sports Time.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning a 4th of July cookout? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
It's time to upgrade your game and get custom fit for free at Edwin Watts with their summer bonus trade-in sale. Come in now through July 12th and get a 50% bonus trade-in on any Callaway TaylorMade or Cobra inline products. Chart out your game with the new Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder and be the course DJ with Bushnell's new Wingman, the first ever audible GPS and Bluetooth speaker. The summer bonus trade-in sale is happening now through July 12th at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Some restrictions may apply. See store for details.
Hi, I'm Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Five Ash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Five Ash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do.
Go online and check out all the happy referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. At DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, that laid-back down-home environment. No high-pressure sales whatsoever at DeSoto Auto Sales, but they do care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, all in about 45 minutes, less than an hour, in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work. They know we're living in a world today that time matters, and they keep it simple at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County, to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience that you can enjoy, and we appreciate them so very much. We appreciate Matt Michelle from the Orlando Sentinel. You can follow him on Twitter at OS Matt Michelle. At the top of his Twitter page, he has a profile pic of the celebration for the Clemson Tigers. Matt Michelle, is that where we start this year? Do we start with Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers for 2020?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you look at how they've been able to handle things moving forward. I think you look at with Trevor Lawrence coming back. Again, this is a program that has definitely been on the rise with what Dabo's been able to do. And we didn't think for a while there that anyone would be able to knock Alabama off that top perch, but we're starting to see that with Clemson kind of making that big push. I know they didn't get there, last year, but again, they're right there on the cusp, and they've got the team and enough depth on that talent and that talent on that roster to be able to make the push for the number one spot.
Yeah, and you're obviously sitting down there in the bubble that is the sporting world. How well is it being received by Orlando residents that they're already having a COVID-19 problem, and now all these sports and extra staff are coming into the state? How is it being perceived by locals?
Well, I think locally, everyone is really excited. I mean, they want to be, obviously all eyes are going to be on our area here in Orlando. There's a lot of attention being paid towards, as you mentioned, the MLS and the NBA. But there's got to be some concern. There's concern everywhere because we're seeing, highest numbers we've seen during this pandemic over the last couple of weeks, and it continues to go higher and higher. I think there's a concern that, will the NBA be able to do this? Will the MLS be able to do this? Will they be able to have this shortened season without having some sort of stop or breakage? I mean, the nice thing about the Disney setup for both these leagues is the fact that they can be off. Disney is really kind of off, separate from the city of Orlando. It does have its own kind of vibe of being in a bubble. They have individual hotels, they have tram services, they have all amenities you really need. So they could get away with that, but there's still going to be the possibility that you're going into a hotbed of COVID-19, pandemic area. So there is always the possibility something could happen. We've seen some of the MLS players test positive over the last couple of days. I think you're going to see that. Now, whether or not we're going to see the kind of elite sports we're used to seeing, I'm not sure, but I think everyone's trying to do the best they can to make sure that everything is going to be well. But the Orlando residents themselves, they're excited, but they're also a little bit trepidation. There's a little bit of trepidation there as well.
Trepidation is a good thing to have these days, Matt Michelle. I think we all have it every day. Today, I went shopping, and I went in a local Walmart, and I had my mask on. I'm going to say about 70% inside the store with mask on. Saw a buddy of mine from high school. I said, he didn't have one on. I said, you're walking on the wild side. He said, commando, mask and everywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think you look around here, especially our area, I went out shopping a couple days ago. About 50%, we're wearing masks. I'm not. A lot of younger people, a lot of men not wearing masks. But I've been telling people, for the last couple of weeks, listen, if you want a sports season, if you want to be able to see football in the fall, you want to see, everything going on, you got to wear a mask. And nothing I'm saying is political charged or anything like that. It's just this idea of these things are going to help us get to that point. Every medical professional that we've talked with or you hear about is saying this is something we need to have happen. And I think especially in our area, places like Texas, Arizona, California, where they're seeing huge spikes, these kind of things can help maybe kind of start to bring it down a little bit and maybe get us to a point where we can actually see a football season. It's not looking, 2 months ago I would have said, yeah, we're on track. Now I'm thinking more and more that, spring sounds kind of like where we may be headed if things don't kind of get better off in the next couple of weeks.
I'm with you on that. I was really never that bullish on a season. I've always trended on the 1 to 10 scale. I think I got as high as a 4, but I've been around 1 or 2 most of the time. And I never go 0 and I never go 10, but I'm thinking the spring plan may very well happen. Please tell me what you just quote tweeted is not accurate, that an ABC News or at ABC's news Twitter site that Tuscaloosa students diagnosed with COVID-19 have been attending parties as part of a disturbing contest to see who can catch the virus first, a city council member says.
I just saw that story. I'm baffled by this. I mean, I'm the idea that people would think that this is some sort of game to be played with. We've seen so many people who have contracted, COVID, who've had, some of them haven't been able to, have, still are in hospitals or they're going through some terrible times, have lost people. To be able to say this is happening just shows you a disturbing trend. I think that's the concern. When we talk about the NBA and the MLS and professional leagues, they understand they're being paid. They have contracts. They have unions. They understand what's at stake. They're trying their best to make sure everything works out well for them. When we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds, that's where things change a little bit. We're talking about college-age kids. That's why you had cases where, like LSU and Kansas State, where they had to shut down, or Kansas State, where they had to shut down their voluntary workouts because kids went out to parties or because kids went out to a bar and things like that. Because it's hard to tell someone at that age, stay home, sit in your house, don't go out, don't be a college-age kid, be careful. I think there's this little bit of a feeling that maybe you're invincible because you're young, and that's not going to happen to you. And I've talked to, college football players who've contracted this disease, and have said it is the most debilitating thing they've ever gone through, and it's not something to take lightly. So to see a story like that is really disappointing and really shows us we're trending in the wrong direction when it comes to young people.
Yeah, Matt, I could not agree with you more. Being 25 myself, it's still, even at that age, it's still kind of hard to keep myself from wanting to go out and pretend like nothing's wrong. And to the mask, I when I wasn't wearing one, I got weird looks. Now that it's the city council here in Memphis has said you have to wear it, I wear one, and now I still get weird looks being a young guy from older people that's actually wearing a mask. So I don't know where to win on that.
So true. You wear one and everybody looks at you like, you big baby nervous Nelly. You don't wear one, you selfless jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or selfish jerk, not selfless.
Yeah. I think that's going to change. I think you're seeing more and more people trying to take that push, to help and get the word out there. Listen, I haven't actually sat down in a dining room restaurant, and since this has gone on.
Really?
I still order my food and take it home with me. My wife and I are very cautious. We try to, not to the extent of being, but, so scared about it or anything like that, but we're just cautious. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help out. And I think that's the idea that needs to be presented is, there's a way to live with everything going on, but you just have to be cautious about it because this is how things kind of happen. And washing your hands and wearing masks and keeping yourself safe is the proper way to do it. It's one of the simplest things we're asking people to do, to try to get sports back, to even just try to have a life back. And it's amazing to me how people kind of fight it tooth and nail.
No kidding, Matt. And okay, let's say it is scared, and Brett says, okay, yeah, I'm a big scaredy cat. Call me whatever name you want to call me. But I go back to that famous Twitter. What do they call them? Memes or memes? What are they, Drew?
They're memes.
Memes. Those famous memes. If you think I look goofy in a mask, you ought to see me with a respirator on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's scary. I mean, and people are I guess people don't understand it. You know, I have a mother who's in her late 70s, and she's had been tested 3 times already in the last month and a half because she's had some medical issues. So, she's scared at times about it because she's an older person. A lot of older people are like that. I mean, I understand that, but younger people should be as well. I think one of the biggest mistakes we made early on was we said to people it was an older disease. It affected older people more right off the bat. And I think that just gave everyone kind of a sense of feeling that it wasn't going to happen to them. And you may not. Younger people may be able to have the wherewithal to be able to handle it sometimes. But you're seeing more and more cases, especially in our state. The number of cases of people are younger. The age is going down. I think it's in the mid-30s right now, last I looked. So, and as like I've said to people who argue about masks, you're a football fan, right? And they'll say, yeah. And I said, then put a mask on, because if we're not getting this thing handled, we're not playing football in the fall. And you're not watching sports. You're watching whatever replays are out there. You're tired of it for 2 months. Imagine what it's going to be like for the next 6.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Matt. I wear a mask because it's the right thing to do. I wear a mask because I want to see college football. I wear a mask because my grandmother just turned 89, and I don't want to put her in damage in any way, shape, form, or possibility. But back to football, and we're about to, here in the next 20, 30 minutes, we're going to rank SEC quarterbacks. And one person that has really stuck out to me, wondering why the hype is so big on him, is Kyle Trask there at Florida. I've seen plenty of lists where he's top 5. When I initially sat down, I thought he was about a 7 or 8 range guy.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think has really blossomed and benefited from Dan Mullen's tutelage. Here's a guy that Dan Mullen came in when he took that Florida job, that was known for being a quarterback whisperer, so to speak. The guy who could work with guys. Look what he did with Dak Prescott. He's done some amazing things. And what you saw with Kyle Trask is, here's a guy who has been a lifelong, basically, backup. In high school, he was a backup. When he was at Florida, he was a backup most of his life. But he's a guy who's super smart, really intelligent, has the physical skills. He sat there and learned. So when his time came up, when Felipe Franks went down with that injury in the Kentucky game, Trask just stepped up and was able to kind of handle everything. And as the season went on last year, you saw him showcase the things that Dan Mullen really was been preaching to his players, and you saw him take advantage of that. So I think having that benefit, being experienced, being an older guy, being a senior guy going into this, even despite everything going on with all the virtual learning and not having much of a spring, kind of spring camp to work through, I think that's just going to help Kyle Trask, to be honest with you, because I think having that leadership, because the players are going to buy into what he's doing. He's got the skill set. Dan Mullen's going to continue to push and get that offense moving. They looked good the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season last year and into their bowl game. I've got them probably being the team that's going to win the SEC East. I think they can upend Georgia this year. I think they're that good. I think Kyle Trask is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC this year.
And Matt, if we were in more normal times with the normal kind of from this point really starting as we get to July 1st and we head to media days and then camps open and the run up to college football and the hype. And I love that. I love when everyone's undefeated. Nobody's been disappointed yet. I think we would have the Florida, Kyle Trask, Dan Mullen story up there. But here's another one. The reemergence of the SEC East. And maybe this year being the year of the East taking the power baton back from the West.
Yeah, I think this is a good chance. We met, LSU obviously coming off a great year last year, lost a lot of talent. Saw their guys go to the NFL. They only returned, I think, 2 starters on offense. They're not going to be nearly as strong as they were last year. Alabama has some question marks. I think maybe Texas A&M could be one of the surprise teams, depending on how Kellen Mond steps up. But you look at the East, and you look at how Florida's going to be. You look at Georgia, even with with a new quarterback, they're loaded at defense. This is probably going to be one of the best defenses in the SEC again. Kirby Smart's done a great job there. And then you look at Tennessee, a team that last year, after about the first month of the season, I thought Jeremy Pruitt was going to be fired. I didn't think that Tennessee was playing well at all. Look how they turned things around and where they're at. They're a team that's probably going to be right there as well. And then you go down the list. You look at Kentucky, which has been consistent for a while there. I think, to me, the bigger question mark is going to be South Carolina, with Will Muschamp. He had a bad year last year. Can they bounce back? He made some off-season changes to the staff, thinking around, working on some things. I think South Carolina, if they can come back and showcase themselves a little bit, that's going to be good. And then you look at Missouri making a coaching change and bringing in, Coach Drinkwitz from Appalachian State. I think there's an opportunity there for them to have some big highlights as well. So this is a East that is getting better and better and starting to recruit better. And I think the West right now is going to have to start paying a little bit more attention to it.
And you look at a team like Kentucky with Terry Wilson back healthy this year at quarterback. He got hurt early last year, and the job that they got at quarterback, basically from an extra running back, was tremendous last year. But they got that production because of that offensive line. That job that Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky, it does not get near enough credit, especially over here in the West.
No, it doesn't really. And it really showcased. I know some people were kind of surprised when the Florida State job came open. Mark Stoops' name came up a couple times, and I know people were kind of surprised by that fact, but I wasn't. I mean, you look at the job he's done at Kentucky with the facilities and everything they've been able to kind of grow from that program. To me, it's worked out really well, and I think, it goes to show you why Mark Stoops is kind of hitting his stride right now. And I think they're another program, again, as you mentioned, that just, has some opportunities there. They play Florida early, obviously at Florida the second week of the season, and then they got kind of a stretch of South Carolina and Auburn, and then at the end of the year they're going to have some tough games with Georgia and Louisville. But this is a Kentucky team that can get there. They can be 6, 7, 8 win season depending on how things go. Again, Terry Wilson played really well, a guy who could step in and do just as well this year, and they've recruited well. So again, Stoops has done everything. It's not heard of to hear Stoops doing well in college football.
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks coming back from injury this year, what is the likelihood on October 16th that I see Mackenzie Milton starting quarterback for the UCF Knights against my Tigers?
Well, Mackenzie's an interesting situation. He was supposed to hear back from his doctors in June. He has been, taking part in spring practice. Not running or anything like that, but we did see him throw the football. They've been very cautious. They haven't given the media a lot of opportunity to see him do things, but they put up a lot of videos showing him doing things. He's got a light brace on now. He's been out throwing the football in the off season, even during the quarantine stuff. He's been out throwing the football around with some receivers. He looks good. If the doctors give him the okay, I'm going to tell you guys, if you're looking for a story that would just be unbelievable, it'd be if Mackenzie Milton comes back and steps on the field and plays. Because his leg, they almost had to take his leg. I mean, when he got hurt a couple of years ago. And for him to be able to think about playing would be amazing. I'm still not 100% sure it's going to happen. I think he said 50-50 when I talked to him last time. But again, if the doctors give him the okay and he feels like he's getting better and stronger, I wouldn't be shocked to see him try to push for that starting job. You know what I mean? And it's going to be an incredible scene if when he steps on the field in front of fans, and takes the first snap, because I think that would be something that will one of the best stories in quite some time in college football if he's able to do that.
I'm with you. And the quarterback play that they always get out of Central Florida, it's like the quarterback play at Memphis. You can count on that every year. Those two teams are going to get good quarterback play, Matt.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's one of the things they've done well. Scott Frost before, and then you look at Josh Heupel, the two coaches who've really done a good job recruiting. Dylan Grayville's a great quarterback. I mean, I think people kind of tended to overlook him last year because he was a true freshman and he had a couple, they lost 3 games, but you look at his statistics, he set all sorts of records for at school, over 3,000 yards. He's a guy that, I think with another year under his belt is going to be even better. Laser-like focus. So if Mackenzie's not able to do it, obviously Dylan's going to be the guy. And they're starting to get some younger guys in there as well. As soon as they start recruiting more quarterbacks like that, This is a program and an offense that likes to score up a lot of points and likes to go fast. It's very appealing for kids, and they're doing a good job of getting those kind of kids to come and play for them.
Matt, always great to catch up with you. Best to you this weekend for Independence Day celebration and going forward during the virus of 2020. I'm sorry I won't see you at SEC Media Days, but maybe if we have college football, I'll see you at a ballpark this fall somewhere, and we'll catch up a long time before that. Thank you, Matt.
No problem, guys. Stay safe, okay?
Appreciate
you got it. Matt Michelle joining us from the Orlando Sentinel talking college football. Drew, since you've been – when did you first start interning at WHBQ? 2016?
Oh, no. Way before that. I started interning right before Halloween of 2013. I've been here for the better half of a decade.
And for the great meltdown of too much noise in the hallway, but we're not going there with this. This is where I'm going with it. Since you've been with us for that time, you've really not ever experienced Memphis sports talk radio with UT in the East up, have you?
No, I haven't. I mean, the most of the time it's been trash can jokes. I mean, realistically,
yeah.
Brick by brick type of more of making fun of the other side of the state than it has been embracing.
And Derek Dooley on the Walker.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the only person off the top of my head that's ever really somewhat tried to pick up a torch for Tennessee on this radio station has been Peter Edmiston, the proud alumni of the University of Tennessee. But I have not been on air.
I defended Jeremy Pruitt last year.
You did. But I haven't really been at this station or on air where Tennessee football is the talk of the town.
Well, I don't know if it's talk of the town next year, but you're going to see it in the next few years. And my interaction this summer with area college football fans, Tiger fans, are off the chain. Mm-hmm. They can't wait. I mean, they soon as you got home from Dallas, you were ready for the season to start tomorrow. State and Ole Miss and Arkansas, especially Arkansas and Ole Miss. Man, it's been some tough times. Mm-hmm. State, they made the wrong choice with Joe Moorhead. They're not as leery of the season as I think Ole Miss and Arkansas fans are. Tennessee fans, as soon as they got home from the bowl game, they were like Tiger fans. Get 2020 here. Get week 2 in the road trip to Norman here.
Yeah, they are very ready, and I think they're even more ready for the first game of 2021, 2022, just due to the fact of how great of a recruiting job Jeremy Pruitt has done. Yeah. I mean, he's just exploded on the scene in recruitment, and I'm actually excited to see how well that translates into success on the field on the other side of the state.
A lot of ifs here. If we have a season. And if Tennessee, I think they're going to beat Charlotte week 1, but I thought they were going to win week 1 last year against Georgia State as well. Everybody did. We all missed on that one. If they beat Charlotte, they pull the upset in Norman, take care of Furman. It feels like, well, I don't know. We may not be able to have the crowds. Darn it. It would feel like the good old days last weekend in September with the big bad Gators coming to Knoxville.
Oh, Brett, you know you wanted to say it. Feels like '98. You know you wanted to say it because that's what they all say.
And it was fun.
It could ultimately.
It was,
do
Drew.
That.
It was fun. It's more fun doing this when Tennessee's good in this market. I've said that forever, and I'm no Tennessee shield or homer or fan. I do love Jeremy Pruitt, and I told him last year when I went to see him at the Memphis Touchdown Club, I said, dang you, I wasn't even going to have a soft spot for Tennessee ever again after Peyton was done, and now I do because of you, and I want him to do well. But that feeling, if it was normal times for the Florida game, it would exist. And then an upset over them, and then you know what they got circled next.
Oh, yeah.
Not third Saturday in October, but fourth Saturday in October.
And I know
cigar game.
People aren't going to believe me when I say this just because literally 5 seconds ago when we were talking to Matt Michelle, I ended that question with my Tigers. But I honestly do want everybody around here to do well because it does make this job a lot more fun. I like talking about good teams rather than bad teams. I like talking about the 8 and 4s, the 9 and 3s rather than the 5 and 7s.
So much more fun.
It's just so much more fun. And it makes the rivalries around this area so much more interesting.
when people drill me, and that's fine, about being a homer, I'm pretty much an equal opportunity homer.
I think
I want everybody to do well because it makes it much more fun to come in here and do this instead of everybody mad and everybody wanting to fire their coach. That's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, that fire coach, fire AD talk, that's not fun. I'd much rather be in a happy, good mood and talk good vibes and good football all around the state and through the area. I know when we get to college basketball, one of the days that I dread the most, especially as a producer, are days after Tiger basketball loses because people yell at me like I'm the coach or I play on the team. It's my fault.
It's Dave's fault.
They
it's
yell
Dave's
at us
fault.
like it's our fault. And those are the days that I dread the most. So when everything is happy, everything is hunky-dory around here, that's what I love to do.
But we have really been paranoid today. It is always our fault.
It is.
Blame the media.
Us media, that's all we want. We want to stir the pot. We want to create the chaos. We don't want to tell you the truth about anything because we have this secret agenda.
Big conspiracy. Everything. And all the meetings
Public,
are at
I'm
my
coming
house.
after you. Exactly. I'm going after Joku Public, John Doe, Jane Doe. I'm coming after you specifically. Not just this is the facts. No, I'm making sure you have a bad day.
And we all have a fleet of black helicopters to travel around in and carry out the conspiracy. When we come back, we carry
quarterback.
And before him, it was even less. I don't have Jarrett Garantano very high to start this year, but I do think his upside, it's tremendous for this year. He got better last year. He learned a big lesson, played out on a national stage on that third Saturday in October when he decided to improvise, and Jeremy Pruitt wanted the play that he called from the sideline ran, and if he had, they would have scored, and it would have taken him into halftime, I think, in a much more narrow contest on the road at BDS against the Mighty Tide, and Jeremy Pruitt lit into him. And that next week, I defended Jeremy Pruitt. I do not think he should have touched him, and it was just a passing little bit of a wiggle of the face mask. It was not the full-bore Lou Holtz treatment of the face mask, but you can't even hardly do that anymore. But I didn't think it was that egregious. He got his message across to Jarrett Garantano, and he got better after that, playing down the stretch of the year last year, pretty injured.
Yeah, he did get a lot better as the season went on. And as far as the grabbing of the face mask, I think you can go overboard if you just grab it to kind of just get somebody's attention, that intensity level, that's fine. It's the shaking, it's the jerking, because, I can remember.
Those days are over.
I know, but even just as young as I am, I can remember that happening in Pee Wee football. Just because coaches need to get your attention, need to get you to move. But when you jerk and stuff, that's kind of a little bit over the top.
And I mentioned really lovingly, respectfully, when I mentioned Lou Holtz in the news today of the passing of his wife, the mother of the coach at Louisiana Tech, Skip Holtz. And I know someone in Memphis that were very good friends at Fayetteville with a young lady that met the Holtzes while she was in school in the late 70s, early 80s at Fayetteville. And then she went to work after graduating at Arkansas, basically as I don't know how you would describe the job title, administrative assistant, whatever you want to call it, to Coach Holtz and his wife for personal correspondence, scheduling. She had a catch-all job, and she worked for them. I think living either on a property behind their home in Orlando, and of course would travel to Fayetteville and to Minneapolis and to South Bend and to Columbia later, and even after he was in the media. But she worked for them forever, and just said that Mrs. Holtz was just a real sweetheart, and Lou Holtz lost his wife. The news broke today about that, and he was a very demonstrative coach in a time that was much more acceptable and happened with more frequency than it happens now. I didn't think it was great back then, but it's kind of what you signed up for then.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, that's just how it was in the times. But I think you are right that there's just really no place for it now. We've evolved. We've grown. We've grown as a society, as people. That there's a lot easier ways to get your message across nowadays.
Remember a few years ago when we had Coach Johnny Thompson on with us, and I asked him, is it a requirement now? And it is not. He said, no, it is not. And it's not at a lot of places. Is it a requirement for yes, sir, and no, sir? And at a lot of places, it is not. But it can't be with any, big attitude about it. But no, yes or no, sir. At a lot of places, not required.
Well, that should be required.
Many.
I still think.
I don't know that it has to be. You know the right tone, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean you be smart and off.
Correct.
But just yes, sir, no, sir, just is so much polite. It's manners. It's something that has been trained into me since I was 2 to 3. I think it took me 3 years to stop calling you sir.
I know it. And I did the very same thing early on with George, and he would go crazy at me during the break. He said, it just makes you sound so much younger. It makes you sound green. Quit saying yes sir, no sir. I couldn't help it. And I told you the other day on a guest that we were going to have this week, I said, whatever you do, don't call him mister. Didn't I?
Yes, you did. But I mean, it was a guest that I have a lot of respect for. Just I didn't want to come off as a young guy, so that wasn't showing the respect. So I just had to make sure that it wasn't going to come off that way.
But I knew the tone you meant, and that's what we're talking about. All right, let's get to this list. We got to go through it pretty fast. Let's start at the bottom and work up. And for me, I'm going to start with whomever, whatever. Danny Clark, or Ken Seals at Vandy at 14. Sean Robinson at Missouri at 13. I think upside there for him. 12, maybe way too low. The good's good. The average is average, and the bad was real bad last year for Ryan Helinski at South Carolina. Then kind of the duo, and I hate to take a powder on a duo, but I do think it will be an open quarterback situation, especially in this abbreviated run-up to the season, if we have it. The duo at Ole Miss between John Rice Plumlee and Matt Corral. Number 10, this is going to start way low, and we're going to hear from them. It is Jarrett Garantano far now. Number 9, Terry Wilson, back hale and hearty at Kentucky. 8, maybe way too low again. If it was Olympic diving last year and you throw out the high and you throw out the low, I thought it was pretty average in between. Good was great, but not so good was really ugly at times. Number 8, Bo Nix. Number 7, off of not a lot of play last year, watching the performance of all time, but I like a steady hand, and he is it. Number 7, Miles Brennan. 6, Felipe Franks at Arkansas. 5, Jamie Newman at Georgia. 4, Kellen Mond, the summertime love for Kellen Mond at A&M. Show me, don't tell me. I've heard it about A&M for 40 years. Number 3 at Alabama, Mac Jones. Number 2, hadn't played a snap yet in SEC, but we know he can play. KJ Costello at State, and I'm with everyone. Number 1, Kyle Trask at Florida.
Well, we started off pretty much about the same there at the bottom, but then it gets real jumbled up for us. And, the criticisms that you have about Kellen Mond, it's kind of the upside that I do see. I just do see the raw talent about Kellen Mond, but I'll get there when I get there. 14, just like you, I do have Vandy. 13, Sean Robinson, the transfer from TCU at Mizzou. At 12, I've got Miles Brennan down there just because I think regardless of how decent he does, we're going to automatically be comparing him to Joe Burrow.
How unfair.
And it's going to be unfair.
What shoes to fill.
So I think that's probably where he's going to be on my list all year, whether or not I mean to compare him to Joe Burrow. At 11, I've got Ryan Helinski from South Carolina. At 10, I wrote down John Rice Plumlee, but I think you're right. I think Matt Corral is going to have a shot there to compete. I've got old ball. Go ahead.
One editorial comment about Matt Corral. His tenure at Ole Miss, man, what a tough break he's drawn. First year, he gets Phil Longo kind of on the way out of town and not really caring about the backup. Mm-hmm. And the only time he was asked to play, he almost called